Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And for those of you who are joining for the first time, if you would please subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for being here. We have an awesome show tonight. We have Phil Siracusa. Here, let me show you the picture. We have Phil Siracusa, we have Carissa Flack, and we have Dave Spinks. Now, as you all know, we are revisiting the portal to hell, Phil's house. And what I want from Phil tonight, I would like Phil to tell the viewers again his story. But everybody, let's welcome Phil, Carissa, and Dave to the show. Yay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hi, Noreen. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Would you now, Phil? Phil was on the show in April, and he told his story. For those of you who may not seen that show, Phil, would you please clue in everybody on what's your story and what's been happening? First, let's tell the story. Tell your story.
Sure. Well, my name is Phil Siracusa. I'm the author of the HORSEFLY Chronicles, a true life demonic haunting. For those that question the belief, whether ghosts or demons or other entities do exist, I will tell you firsthand that they do. Having said that, some people also question heaven and hell. I do not disrespect anybody's beliefs or religion. I just tell my experiences of what's happening. And I brought the best people in paranormal to my home to help me prove my case. My story starts in heaven, where heaven, I describe how beautiful it is and that it does exist. There is a such place that we go to. However, there's an unfortunate place that we all know, and that's called hell. And hell, as we know, is the complete opposite. I've experienced it. How do I know I was in heaven? People ask me all the time, and the best description I can give is that there's absolutely no pain in heaven. There's no pain at all. And the purest of our love and fulfillment of who we really are is enlightened in heaven. And in hell, we take nothing but darkness, pain, emotional suffering, anything that's evil, pure evil, that's magnified 1,000 times worse than the physical pain that is here on earth is hell. And it does exist. I'm one man. It's hard to believe, but I can tell you that it's true. From hell, I was pulled through a transportal of light that I remember. This light is like a vortex of energy that goes on. It's like being pulled into a vacuum cleaner hose. And when I was pulled into it, you take all the emotion of who you are back, the peace, the love, the purity of one's soul, and you leave all that pain, darkness, hatred, and suffering behind. But not far behind me, unfortunate, were dark entities. I did not see them, but I felt their presence. These dark entities were pulled into the physical world where I was born here, September 16th, 1967, on a stormy Saturday, in Staten Island University Hospital. Adolescence, you grow up and you start to have nightmares at 3 years old, 4 years old, and you don't know any difference. The older you get, the older these dark attachments become to us, to me. 6 years old, 7 years old, nightmares become night terrors, where I would wake up in cold sweats. The older I became, I started to see dark shadows. But yet, early teenagers, I would dismiss it as it was my mind, or I really didn't pay much attention to it up until I started to feel oppression and the negative energy. And the older I became, the older these dark attachments became. In my early 20s, I wanted to learn more, and I was working with the Book of Gosher and learned a little bit from a psychic about how to use a Ouija board in my late teens. And I still didn't believe what was happening to my experience of if this was real or not. Because you don't know if it's psychosomatic, powers of thought, or it's becoming delusion. But when you start to get older and you're having these experiences, they no longer become coincidence. It's almost as if they're fact, where the occurrences start to get stronger. Through that, I didn't belong to an occult, but I was practicing dark rituals. I purchased the Book of Darkness, and to see if it really was true that we can communicate with the other side. I will tell you firsthand that we can. Some of the encounters I've had, I call them alienated, because it's just things that happened to me that led me to believe that we're not alone here as well in the universe. And I'm 47 years old today, still seeing if there's a tie between ghosts, demons, and alien contacts. The Horsefly Chronicles, a couple years ago, I wanted to start a project, and I came out with a book, and I got people involved in this case. And I've heard the most bizarre stories from people that were involved, that they seen horseflies 2 o'clock in the morning or cold weather in the dead of winter. I didn't believe it. Not for one bit. But when more and more people were involved in this case, and I started to see people get scared off, I started to question what was happening. And now I've learned, 2 years later, that dark entities and demons, evilness does exist. It does. It's no longer fake or make-believe or it's a theory. It's true. These things do exist. Will science one day ever prove? I'm sure it will down the road, how it all works. But for now, we bring you what we have at the Horsefly Chronicles house. And today, I'm joined with Carissa Fleck and Dave Spinks, who was an investigator, who I felt he did question a lot. And I respect that, because unless you see it, you don't believe it. And I was one of those people as well. Carissa Fleck, that you see on the screen, she's the medium that I contacted Eastern Paranormal Society. I wanted to have a team come here to see what was happening in my home, see if I was crazy, to be honest with you. I'm a family man of 6. And I wanted to know what the dark shadows were, what these evil impressions were. And after speaking to Carissa several times, she had agreed to live into the case and bring equipment. Now, again, I even questioned her, and I questioned myself going on. But the more people that were involved, and the more evidence that Carissa was gathering, the more solid this case became. The evidence that will be revealed tonight through video of Dave Spinks, what he shot here, and when Carissa Fleck talks, and the toy that I talk to, look into my eyes. You don't know me, but it's true. There's nothing fake. This is real. When a family man opens his door to the public, and he asks that the only thing you have is credentials and credibility in the paranormal world to come to his home, I'll even feed you. That means a lot, because I do live a family life. I want to prove to the world, everybody, that ghosts / demons, dark entities, they do exist. They're few and far between cases. Ghosts are everywhere, but demons do exist. And tonight, you be the judge. You decide what we show you. And Noreen, you have an incredible show, and I want to say thank you as well for having me back on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I got a lot of messages from the viewers, and they wanted you to come back because they want to find out what has been happening with you since we last had you on the show. So everybody is concerned and they want to know. So, Phil, what has been happening since we last talked?
We talked in April. It was a great show, and me and Carissa had talked, and look, nobody wants to deal with evilness in a home. Not with children. You just don't want to do that. So we had other investigators come to prove what was happening here. We had Dave Spinks, incredible person, come down with I was impressed with the equipment. I was like, wow, that he's really got some unique stuff that I've never seen before. And it was lights out and action, and things started to happen. And there's things that happen that you cannot rule out. And I told Dave that I had a ministry coming. I think it was the following week. And we had an entire ministry of 7 people here. And it was my high hopes that we would have everything in my home removed, and I would wake up and feel that the air was light and smiles on my kids' faces and my wife and myself. So the ministry came on a Saturday, and it was a beautiful Saturday day, and they actually had a smart move, which they came here, and the first thing they did was they shut the portals, so they say, and I like that. They detected the portals, and then they did an entire home blessing, room to room, with prayers in every room, bathroom, living room, dining room, which took about an hour and a half of praying in every single room, 3 floors of the home. After that, we went outside the back deck, we talked, and they said, okay, we're ready to do a deliverance to you and Carissa. Again, I was ready and ambitious for this thing to be gone. And as they were doing the deliverance, I felt like the darkness that resides within myself was starting to pull away. But it's as if in my mind, this thing was playing trickery, like hide and seek. And when the deliverance was done, I felt a little better. I sat over to the other part of the basement on the couch, and they were working on Carissa, and lo and behold, it didn't work the way she wanted it to. I was watching, and it wasn't as if the words of God that they were using were strong enough to remove these dark entities. And that's just my opinion. I'm not a minister, I'm not a demonologist, it's just my opinion. However, the day and the night came, and the Sunday morning followed, and the air felt light in the home. It did feel light. And I woke up with me and my kids had tears in their eyes. They were playing with their toys, and I actually put a picture on Facebook, and I said to my wife, it's gone. It's gone. So the day went, and it was a beautiful day. And then Monday came. Monday was nice. And then Monday evening, I had to do some work in the basement in the room that I'm in now, because this is the room that's private, where I do radio shows, yet I do work for work in this room. And it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I seen a dark shadow fly by. And I says, no, that's my mind, because everything's gone. And the next day came, and I told my wife that afternoon, which was Tuesday, that there was a dark shadow. And she says, no, it can't be true, because the home, these people spent hours blessing the home, walking around the home, outside, with salt, with water, with holy crosses, with everything under the sun. And I says, you need to come to the basement. And this was Tuesday evening, because I says, I'm seeing things again. So she came to the basement, and I said, sit on the couch with me, because I know I'm not going crazy, and I hope I'm wrong. And I was like, do you see what I'm seeing? She says, no, I don't. And then 5 minutes in, she says, I have to go upstairs because nothing's happening. There was a toy that Carissa had bought my youngest child for his birthday. It was a toy dinosaur. And as my wife is getting ready to get up to go upstairs because she doesn't see anything, the dinosaur goes off, and the light and his eyes light up. And we look at each other, and I says, Julie, here it is. And she looks at me, we're frozen in our tracks. We're frozen. So I get the dinosaur, and I'm trying to make this thing go off by screaming, by putting it near an outlet, by shaking it, by throwing it on the floor. Don't go off. And she goes, I have to go put the baby to bed. I don't want to talk about this. So I went upstairs myself, and I got my 2 oldest sons to come downstairs. And I says, do me a favor. Sit on the couch and get your cell phones ready, because there's something not right in this house. So I took that dinosaur and I put it to the highest setting, which is on top of a slot machine. And we're sitting there, and for about 15 minutes, nothing was happening. And then I go, it's coming. And they put their cell phones on, and I'm talking to the dinosaur. And I'm saying to the spirit, if you're here, communicate with us through make a pool ball move or make the piano. We have a small kids piano, make it play. And all of a sudden, the dinosaur goes off. Now, my oldest son says, holy shit. You cannot make that dinosaur go off. You just can't do it. There's no way it goes off unless you put pressure to the tail. So I says, you know what? It's coincidence. And I'm asking more questions. And as I'm doing it, it's responding by making this thing go off. And at the same time, which was not caught on video, the lights upstairs on the 3rd floor were flickering. And at the same time, my son's TV on the 2nd floor goes full blast. I says, lower the TV to the spirit of the house. The TV shut off.
Oh.
We didn't hear it no more. Then there was more communication with that dinosaur. Now, I want the world to know, you don't have to believe a word I'm saying, but it's true. It's true that spirits from the other side can communicate through electronics. And again, when Dave Spinks was at my home and batteries go dead, and when other paranormal teams come here and things don't work the way they're supposed to, that's the other side communicating with us. They're trying to utilize energy, whether it's from us or electronic devices, to make that communication. So, with that being said, Noreen, is it okay for you to show that clip at this time so that the viewers can see what I'm talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely. You. Now I'm going to show them a little. I took a picture to show you the viewers where I had showed this before. Now, if you look in the video at the very top, there is the toy dinosaur. You can kind of see his eyes blinking on and off, but that's where it's going to be. So now I'm going to play the video that Phil took. So hold on, everybody. All right, I'm going to play it now for them.
Please, spirits, can you play the piano or make the dinosaur go off or move a pool ball or flicker the light down?
Oh, shit.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
People cross over and the spirits.
Oh. I don't think it likes that.
No, it does. So,
that's a good sound.
thank you so much.
It said bye.
I have a couple of...
No.
No, it's not.
Oh. We're listening.
Can you... Let me ask you a question. It seems like you're able to use things through electronics. Can you...
That's not good.
Please? Spirits? Can you play the piano?
Okay, I just played that. That was absolutely amazing.
It's amazing, and to me, it's the smoking gun that amateur footage from a cell phone and what was happening in this basement was direct communication. Once again, that spirits can communicate with us. Now, I know earlier, Noreen, you had an outline of a boy on the stairs. Is that possible?
Oh, yes.
To show?
I have those pictures as well. A friend of mine, Royce Hinman, sent me... he had seen the video that I had posted, and so he put your video up on his large TV screen. And he sent me these pictures. The first picture, he has it circled, and I can't quite see it, but he's got it circled where he saw the shadow person. That's the first picture. Then the second picture, it's kind of like, I don't know, Dave, you probably can't see it, but I don't know what he did to the image, but he circled it again. It has lost its color, like it's in a a negative type form, and he
Yeah, that's what he
circled
did.
it. Yeah. And now here's the second one where he actually shows, he outlined the image of a little shadow person, and it looks like a small child.
That's amazing.
Are you able to see that, Phil?
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
And that's amazing.
thanks.
And I want to say something right there,
Okay,
Noreen.
go ahead.
Remember, now that's downstairs in the basement.
Right.
Let's leave that picture right there. That's downstairs in the basement. When we asked the spirit to shut that TV, lower it, there's the answer. There's the answer. It was doing it. It's fascinating. It is unbelievable, but it's right in front of us. And this is why it just blows my mind that the communication with the spirit world, they're listening. They do listen. And there it is. What it is, I can't tell you. It could be things that are going to be revealed in Dave Spinks' video, but it's fascinating, and it's the truth. It's the God's honest truth that these things do exist, hands down.
Yeah.
So thank you, Noreen, for that.
Oh yeah, and thank you, Royce Hinman, for sending me those pictures. So Phil, so what's happening in your house? The blessing or whatever it is that was done in your home did not work, right?
Unfortunately, it did not work.
And
everything is back, but it's worse. Now look, I'm not going to disrespect anybody, because anybody who comes to my home, I say thank you.
Yes.
You know, whether a person tries and doesn't succeed, at least they tried. So I can't discredit anybody. Unfortunately, things are worse. How are they worse? One thing I want to teach everyone out there, what I've learned, is that when you combat things you don't see, they retaliate. And they retaliate in a very bad way. And how do they do that? A lot of the TV shows that we see on television, whether it's ghost hunters or a haunting, you know, some of it's fabricated for television, but they all have the same story. If you look at the family line of the people who speak about hauntings, family fights, friction, negative energy, dark shadows, these are all the symptoms of bad hauntings. And that's all true. And what it does, it wants people to fight. No demon or bad spirit wants a happy family. They want to bring darkness to that family. And if you try to remove it, you better try the right way. Because if you don't, you're going to be in the boat that I'm in.
Phil,
it's not a very good boat.
I'd like to say something right there.
Sure.
What you also described are symptoms of an attachment as well. And I can verify that because I've had 3 of them.
Yes.
Those are all symptoms of having an attachment.
And unfortunately, like I was saying, that these things retaliate. They will do evil things. You don't have to see a demon with horns walking around. That's not what happens. You don't see the walls bleed. That's all fake. But you do see dark shadows. You feel this negative oppression. And then the most mysterious, stupid things would happen, where you're fighting with people that you don't even know why you're fighting in the first place. But if you had a negative thought, it'll intensify that negative thought. It'll magnify it, where it becomes a tremendous blowout. You know, I was sleeping after the day after the deliverance, and I paid no mind to this, but I was sleeping in bed, and a bell went off. Like somebody was doing a bell in front of my ear to wake me up. And I says, you know, I bet these things are around again. And sure enough, they're around. So I don't know the next step on how to remove these things, because I've tried a lot of different things. So what my plan of action is to have paranormal teams come in, like Dave Spinks and other teams, because I believe in my heart that it's a puzzle, and the puzzle has to be completely put together before you could try to combat it. And this puzzle was not completely put together, so I don't know the magnitude of what I'm dealing with. So that's the next step. Okay. And hopefully in the future I'll have a good story when I do come back on this show. As for now, I had the cops at my home 2 weeks ago. I was doing a radio show. Again, it's out there. And I was excited about the radio show, and Carissa had set it up. And my wife calls me, "You better get upstairs now, there's cops everywhere." And I says, what it does, it makes people fight. And I wasn't even involved in this fight. Do you know the house next door to me, when I first moved here in 2010, it was a solid family, good people. They're gone. They left. The house to the other side of me turned over 3 times. And I learned also that negative energy doesn't just reside here. It spreads, where it'll affect a neighborhood. How many entities? I don't know. Does it take to affect different households? But when I bought this home from the previous owner, they weren't even happy. I didn't talk about ghosts or anything, but they just looked disheveled. They were not happy people. And I learned that negative energy, whether it's with me or I'm walking into more negative energy, it's everywhere. And once you live into its environment that is comfortable, it'll explode. And that's what it's doing. Now, I had a well-known person come here about a month ago, and she doesn't want to be revealed for legal reasons, but she came here to see if this was all make-believe or if it was true, and she's well-known all over TV. She came here. So she comes in the basement, and she shakes her head, and I don't say nothing. And I'm sure she's heard of the case. So she sits at the table, and she goes, can you get me aspirin? I'm not feeling well. So my wife runs up and gets her aspirin, and she's looking over the pool table, and she's going into the stair, and she goes, "That's a vortex." And I'm looking, I don't see anything. She goes, "That's a vortex. This is worse than what I thought." And then she's looking to the left and the right. She goes, "You have portals and a vortex." And I says, "Explain the difference, because I don't know the difference." And what she said was that portals are open through things that you may have brought from your past. It could be a Ouija board or the Book of Darkness or pictures that, something that entities are attracted to that open up that doorway. A vortex is where these dark entities come and go as they please, and there's no stopping that vortex. Whether I believe it or not, I looked at her credibility, and she's got a lot of credibility. I didn't see it. I don't see a vortex, but some people are able to pick up these things. I then asked her why I was attracted to this home. Because before I got the home, I found this home on the internet, and there was a picture on the real estate profile of it, and it was a big orb over the pool table. I said to my wife jokingly, another home that we lived in, this is the home we're going to get. But when we made contact with the real estate agent, the home was already under contract. Months went on, and my wife found the same home on the internet again. After searching, we couldn't find anything we liked. She goes, "That house it's off contract." And I found that interesting. And when we came to the home, it's as if there was a welcome, like, here, this is your home now. And I thought the home was just too nice for me to own. Like, I didn't think I was going to get this house. Spirits are one step ahead. They are. I don't want to give any demonic or dark entity credit, but whatever it is, they're a step ahead. They know where you're going to be before you get there because they're planting that seed already. And here I am, 5 years later, in the portal, so to speak.
Wow. Then you decided to have Dave Spinks come in and do a paranormal investigation, which I have to tell you, Phil, you couldn't have chosen a better paranormal investigator. He is one of the best. And so Dave, yeah, he is. He's really awesome. Dave, do you want to talk about your experience? Now, I also have, everybody, I have a couple of clips from Dave as well. From his investigation at Phil's house, and you can also view the entire video on Dave's YouTube channel. So, Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about Phil's house now?
Yeah, Noreen, the clip you showed earlier that they got the dinosaur talking on, of course, I wasn't there for that, but what's interesting about that is that night when I was at Phil's, we were getting so much activity right there next to that little stairwell. Like, the millimeter was going off the chain with high EMF readings. And I walked over there at one point because we were trying to debunk this light we were seeing on the video. camera that was happening live in front of our eyes. So I walked over to the staircase there, and at that moment, I heard what sounded like a little pitter-patter of feet running up and down the stairs. And you can see it in that video clip. You hear me say something about it.
Yeah.
And it was extremely active right there during the first part of the investigation. And the EMF right in that area, like he said, the woman he had at the house, whatever it was, a month ago, she was picking up on the energy in the portals, and the EMF backs it up. And that's what we look for when we do these paranormal investigations, was super high EMF in that whole downstairs area of the house. I mean, it was off the chain. So if you want to show the clip, then
Sure.
you can see what I'm talking about.
All right, this is clip 1, everybody. And this is just a 1-minute clip from Dave's actual investigation at Phil's house. So this is just a small part of it. All right, hold on.
Stop them somehow.
Who's the woman that said stop them somehow? What do you want with the Siracusa family? What the frick?
What?
Something just growled in my ear right behind me.
What am I looking at? Dave, can you come here?
Oh, this light here?
Yeah.
That is off the camera. But something just set that motion light off.
Do you feel anything?
Yeah, it's freezing cold right here, and I'm getting a hit on the millimeter.
Go back a
You
little
are.
bit.
Yeah,
You're right,
it's
you're right.
rising. It's
Right
rising.
behind a little bit.
It's rising.
What's going on over there? In that one area.
Right here again.
Yeah. Can you walk again? Keep walking forward. See it moving? And it stopped.
Whoa!
You're right?
What the hell?
It's like you walked into it.
Something just moved on the stairs, man.
Yeah, you walked right into it almost. Don't touch anything, but just stay there. You see those 2 dots?
Yeah.
You just seen it move like 3 seconds ago.
I heard it shuffle.
It shook. How could
Is
Yeah,
that
like the
possible?
carpet moving.
Shuffle.
Yeah.
Stop them somehow.
Who's the woman that said stop them somehow? What do you want with the Siracusa family?
Dave, do you want to talk any more about that clip, or Phil?
Well, it backs up what Phil was saying. You know, it just gives more relevance to what Royce sent into you with something active on those stairs. And it, you know, with the millimeter readings we were getting, of course, you didn't show all of it on that little 1-minute clip, but if you guys want to go check it out, I mean, it's on there. I mean, you can see the activity level we were getting in that general area was off the chain. I think, Bill, we were seeing shadow play. You saw shadow play over there at the exact same time as well, and none of us were moving. We were sitting down.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it couldn't have been any of us. So it just gives a lot of relevance to the whole story at the Horsefly house. You know, we backed up what they had been saying with just on that short amount of time I was there. So, I mean, it's uncanny.
Okay, I have another clip. Do you want? How about I'll show clip 2 now? Okay,
Is that the one that we got the names on?
yeah. This is more of
You want me
the
to tell about that?
yeah. Go ahead. You want to talk about that, Dave, and set it up?
Yeah. Okay. What's going on in this next clip is Phil and Carissa didn't tell me everything because they wanted to see what we could get as far as evidence at the house, and I like that because that gives their story more relevance. I'm not going into the location with any preconceived notion of anything. I'm going in to document what, I look for answers to my questions, relevant answers, and go from there. So what we're doing here is we're doing a ghost box session with some of the Ghost Hunter apps, and we start getting these names and answers to the questions that I'm asking. Well, lo and behold, later they tell me that 2 of those names are spirits that they've communicated with multiple times. Okay, and I had no clue about this until afterward. And there's another clip that gives it even more relevance. I don't know if we have that one tonight, but I was doing a ghost box session at my home approximately a week and a half later with a totally different device and got the same 2 names on it.
Yeah, Dave, I have that.
Jack.
Yeah, I have that. I just clipped that part out, 19 seconds of it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's
That's
show
what happened.
clip 2.
All right.
Tell me the girl's name again.
I heard it.
Jack, are you here? How many non-human entities are here? Who did it? Who's grabbing my neck? This battery's dead on this camera now. Sarah, are you a demon? You said I am. Were you answering my question, yes or no? What allowed you to pass into this plane, into this existence? What was the doorway? What living person opened the doorway? Let's see if we can confirm something. What's buried with you, John? What kind of board? Did you hear that? It said board.
Yep.
What do you need the board for? Tell me the girl's name again.
I heard it.
Jack, are you here? How many non-human entities are here? Who did it? Who's grabbing my neck?
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, that was awesome. Now, in that video, I did you see that video I just played, Phil?
Yes.
Okay. I know that there was something that you don't want to tell anybody or you want to keep private.
I'm going to.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I will say this. You know, again, I talk about the 90s, that I did dark things and I belonged to an occult. And some people are not going to like what I'm going to say. But when you walk into the world of darkness, you do dark rituals. And do dark rituals work if the intent is strong enough in the belief and you're using all the right components. Unfortunately, it does work. So, I have a picture that I'm just going to squeeze here. Now, you see where it said John?
Yes.
So, I'm going to put this up to the camera.
All right, here, I can, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to full screen that. Okay, I full screened it, Phil. They can see it.
Okay, I'm just waiting. Can you see that?
Yeah, keep it, hold it still. Yeah.
Okay. So, that is the band John. That's his tombstone that I dug up.
You dug up?
Again, I don't want to get into too much, but I was dark. I was very dark. And I'm telling that because Dave didn't know anything. And I dug that grave up, and I'll leave it like, back then, he has the Ouija board that I used. Because I buried it back with him.
And the responses were on that video clip.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes, and again, you know, there might be negative comments towards that. That's fine. You know, one thing I learned, and again, that was wrong of me, but when you're in the dark world, you only see dark and you don't see the light. You just follow that negative pattern of evilness. And I also took something from that person. And not to reveal what it is, because I'm waiting for future psychics if they do pick up what it is, but the bottom line is this. Don't mess with things like I did, because you will pay the price. And the connection between spirits and evil spirits, there is a link, because somehow they want what's theirs. And once you cross into that dark world and you tamper with something that was theirs, they come back. Unfortunately, I'm living proof of that. So, and once again, that just shows what Dave was capturing when he was here, and we're still putting all the pieces together to this puzzle, but it's as amazing as it sounds, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's phenomenal because, like he said, I didn't know anything, and I got all those responses having to do with the Ouija board and getting power, and John kept coming through, Sarah kept coming through, and Jack kept coming through, and I had no clue to any of what Phil just talked about up until that point, until afterwards. And then he came clean and told me all the stuff that he was into, and I was just blown away. And then when I got home and, of course, reviewed the video and the evidence I captured, I was like, holy, I mean, you can't get any better than that. I mean, it's dead on. It's proof positive in my mind. It backs his story up. I mean, there's not much more you can say to it other than you got to be there to experience it, really. I mean, it's just off the chain. It's off the chain.
That was amazing, Dave. That was absolutely amazing. I bet you blew away Phil when he heard that.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
so again, Dave's, what he picked up is incredible. And I want to say this. It's funny, but it's also interesting that when Carissa first got on this case, she kept saying that she sees a man with a top hat. And I'm like, what? A man? I've never seen a man with a top hat. Listen to this very carefully. She's like, no, there's a man with a top hat in this home. And this is when I first met her, and I'm like, tell my wife, there's no man with a top hat in this home. Well, another person came here that Carissa got months later, and she goes, there's a man with a top hat around here. And I'm like, what? Now 2 people are crazy? Well, it's funny because that picture I showed you that person was buried in the 1800s, the man with the top hat.
And also, actually, when I was living at Phil's house, I lived there for 4 months to document this haunting. And I remember the one day we were out back, and I am a channeler. It's one of the things I do. Now, Phil never told me anything about John or anything about him at all whatsoever. I was sitting on the deck with everyone, and all of a sudden I just start channeling, and I looked at him, and I was half there at this point, and I called him out on robbing the grave, and I pretty much was talking through John at that point, and I do think that's when Phil really started to believe in my abilities a little bit more too, because he had not told anyone at that point. And then he had to explain it to everyone that was outside. So
when you were channeling John, did John have a message for Phil through you?
He said to return it, and he would stop.
But he's not the one that's haunting Phil.
He's one of them.
He's one of them.
He's one.
He's
Okay.
one of them.
He's one of them.
But is he malevolent, or is he?
I personally believe he showed me while I lived there, because after I channeled him, he was like attracted to me almost, because he could sense that I could see him and feel him, and he started showing me visions of his life through dreams and in my mind, and he was an alcoholic. I know that for a fact. He wasn't always the nicest person in the world. I do believe that he does not like women too much, which if you watch Dave's video, there's a few interactions that he has with me, right, Dave?
Yeah, yeah.
We know it's John.
Pictures of what happened to you on there.
Yeah. If you could put the pictures up, I don't know if you have them, of me waking up with the bruise marks, bite marks, and all of that, but...
No, I didn't know. No, honey, I don't have those.
Okay. Well, that's on the other video. The first one that we did.
Yeah, and there's tons of John. John interacted with Carissa all night during that investigation. So he was calling her really bad names and all kinds of stuff. So
there is one more little clip I'll show everybody, and that's Dave's at home. Dave set it up.
Okay, I talked about it a short time there a few minutes ago, but what happened was about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I came back from Phil's house, I got a new device in from a friend of mine, the portal, and I also got Anthony Sanchez's Vocubus in. So I wanted to just do a session, and see what came across. Well, I'm just sitting out on the porch, and all of a sudden, I start asking general questions of who's here with me, and lo and behold, Sarah and Jack come through. Now, totally different devices than I was using at Phil's house. Using them at my house, a 6.5 hour drive away, and I get the same 2 names that I was getting at the Horsefly house. So there's no coincidence in that to me. It's almost as if they followed me or, were speaking to me from wherever they were at, letting me know, hey, we know who you are, and all that good type of stuff. So that's on the clip. You can see that Noreen can show right
Dave,
now.
before I play that clip, Phil, would you tell
Yes.
tell the viewers who John, Jack, and Sarah are?
Okay. Well, that's going to be a while to tell you
All right,
that.
well, okay, then hold on. Let me play Dave's clip, and then I want you to tell the viewers, because somebody's asking, well, who's John? And we probably talked about this on the first show that we had aired, and there are some people that may not have seen that first show. So I'm going to play his ITC, and then I'm going to come back to you. Okay, Phil?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to play Dave's ITC session. Was that the Vocubus you were using in the portal, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Who just said Dave? Who lives on this property? Who's I do? Who just said Dave?
Okay. So, Phil, honey, will you please tell the viewers who Sarah, Jack, and John are?
Okay. So, try to follow me. It's a little complicated, the way I'm going to describe it and what I believe it to be. When I was in the previous show, I had talked about when I was 7 years old that I had an encounter with a being. And the being took me over a piece of property upstate New York. This being had a helmet on, and he talked to me through mental telepathy. And I asked him to take his helmet off, but he said that he would scare me. He says that your family is going to purchase this property in years to come. And that one of the things I want you to know is that you're not alone in the universe. There are others. That being was an alien, not a ghost or a demon. Now, again, that has nothing to do with what's happening. Years later, my parents purchased that property upstate New York. And as time went on, in that property it's over 300 acres, and when you buy land back then, there was an old cemetery across the lake, and it comes with the property. So, the cemetery is from the 1800s. My father built a cabin, and in 1977, we had all friends, cousins, relatives. I was, I believe, 10 years old. And my older brother, he says, "No, I'm going to do something really crazy." So we walk around the lake to the cemetery. And I was only 10 years old, but there was like 50 people. We're just having a good time. I was following as a youngster. So my brother had a shovel. He didn't show anybody. And that stone that I showed, he starts digging up the grave. Now, this was a beautiful summer, sunny day. And as he's digging up the grave, it's for jokes, just to goof around, no intent of anything, this darkness in the sky starts to appear, and thunder and lightning. And it was bad. The sky was like, it was roaring thunder. So all of us run back to the cabin, and it starts downpouring. So my father's screaming at my older brother, cover that grave now, because it was dug up halfway. And I believe he almost hit the casket. So my brother goes back alone, because everybody else was checking, and I was a little kid at the time. He goes back, he covers up the grave. Within a half hour, it's beautiful out again. Absolutely beautiful. Years and years later, as my story went on, I talk about how I was into the darkness and things, and I just had this evil thought. And the evil thought was to dig up that grave, but go all the way. So I had told my younger sister and her boyfriend at the time and a cousin of mine, let's do this. And we set plans to go from Staten Island to upstate New York and dig up this grave. But I said at the same time we're doing this, I told my sister and her ex-boyfriend at the time to do the Ouija board. I want to see if these spirits that caused the lightning and thunder years later now, this was in 1990. 2 or 3, I want to see if there's a communication that they know what I'm doing. Now, back then when they buried people, they were in wooden caskets, and they were casket on top of casket on top of casket on top of casket. I didn't know that till I actually started digging up this grave. And when I was digging it up, these weird insects started coming out from nowhere. Insects that I don't even see today. These creepy little insects. We're getting bit. Me and my cousin are digging up the grave, and they're doing the Ouija board. A spirit comes on the board and says to stop. And I was evil. I was pure. I had evil. Nothing. It was like I wasn't even myself at this point. I had one mission, and that was to go all the way and open up that casket. And as we're digging and digging, these insects are coming, and my sister says, you better stop the Ouija board saying these bad things like it's going to attack you if you don't stop. I didn't care. I kept going. And then when we hit the casket, I told my cousin, throw down the pick, and I start prying open the top of the wooden casket. And when I'm doing that, we're being threatened by the Ouija board, whatever's communicating that it's going to come after us. And I'm pulling it open, and all of a sudden, the worst of the worst smell comes out of this casket that it was, I couldn't even describe the smell, that's how bad it was. And we just were overwhelmed. At the same time that I lift the top of the casket, my brother, who's sleeping, my older brother, who's sleeping in the cabin, who dug up this grave 30 years prior, starts screaming, and the cabin's about a half a mile away. Get out of that graveyard now, get out. He don't even know what we're doing because he was sleeping. It's as if the spirits went to him and woke him up. I got in to the casket. I took something, which I will not reveal. And when I was doing that, the spirit was actually fighting with us through the board. And we're getting bit up alive by these insects. They were everywhere. And then we started to feel regret and hurt. And I says to my cousin that this guy wants that board. I don't know why. So I says to my cousin, my sister, give me the board because I'm going to bury it in the casket. I take the board, I bury it in the casket, cover it up. About a half hour later, everything's done, it's covered. We walk back to the cabin and we're being circled by a horsefly. And this thing is out to get us. This horsefly is like out for blood. It's just circling counterclockwise. We dismiss it, whatever, it's just coincidence. My brother, when we went back to the cabin, he said, call this every name of the book because we know what we did because the spirit told him what we're doing. So, who is the mother? Who is the mother of the person I dug up? Now, I'm going to tell you what I know. Again, we're still trying to solve this mystery. As months went on, in the house in Staten Island, we're doing the Ouija board. It was me, my sister, my youngest sister, my oldest sister, and who comes through a board? A person by the name of Sarah. And we start talking to her, and Sarah is, I got chills, she's presenting herself as a young girl. 2 months ago, I wanted to research who this guy John was. I'm not going to tell the last name out of respect for this guy, but me and Carissa were in my living room, and I researched, and I was able to find a lot out online. Sarah is John's mother. And when we found this out, the iPad flew out of my hand. Carissa goes, what's going on here? And I got punched in the arm. I got punched. And I'm like, well, I'm on to something. Sarah has been a friend of the family, sort of, she says, since that point. Now, people may ask, is this John's mom? I don't know. But I do know that it's a little bit more than coincidence that it happened after the fact. And then when we look at the grave, it's Sarah. That is the mom. And they were all buried on top of each other. Now, again, don't tamper with things that I've done because it's not good. This is a story that's almost impossible to believe. I know it is. But it's all true, and I'm paying the price of one of the entities, two of the entities. And I think of Sarah, all this time, I think of Sarah as a friend of the family because she has told me things that to help me. But, when I was talking to Dave, he brought up something that was interesting. Between sessions, we were on the back deck and we were talking. He goes, well, how do you know Sarah really isn't a demon? And I said, you know what? I don't know. Or how do you know she's not malevolent? So I believe that when I tampered with these things, I also opened up another door. And John and Sarah, they're not happy. And Jack, my younger son, not the youngest, but one of the youngest, we had problems a year ago in this house that were really bad with my son. And we were like, well, who's Jack? He kept talking about Jack. And me, my wife, and Carissa, we were all just talking about, and my son goes, I'm afraid to talk about Jack. Well, who is he? He's a demon. Now, I've never seen Jack, but Carissa has. And I questioned that as well. But then my son's like, no, he's real, but I don't want to talk about him. I'm afraid. And Carissa, I'll let you fill in that little piece because you picked up on this Jack and how really bad he is.
Alright, well, I'll just do like a little background on myself too. I'm a psychic medium. I've been able to see and communicate with the dead since I was a little kid, but I always hid it and didn't really come to terms with it, to be honest with you, out of fear of criticism and rejection from my peers. So it's something I always kept to myself until I moved to the Lehigh Valley area, which is where I reside now, and I linked up with the paranormal team. This was my third case ever, was the horsefly case. Talk about a welcoming party to the paranormal by fire. But I remember all I was told about the case was that it was a man that believed he was haunted. I didn't know anything else. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but for 3 weeks before the case, I was tortured in my own home. I was sexually attacked and physically attacked and everything like that. It was really hard. I decided to go to the house anyway because I felt if they were targeting me, there was a reason, and I was meant to go to the house. I remember telling Phil when I first walked in, and I told him everything that had happened to me. Not in detail because I didn't want to scare him, but I told him things that he never told anyone. And that was the first start of our friendship and the connection I had to him and his entire family. I told them I would help them from afar, but I would never step back foot into that case because I was scared. But I started noticing that they were having trouble proving it to the paranormal community, and they were getting a lot of criticism, called crazy. And I knew it was real because of what happened to me. So after much consideration, I decided to move into the house for 4 months, where I lived with Phil and his entire family as the live-in psychic medium, documenting the haunting and trying to get people like the wonderful Dave Spanks to the house to help me with this case, which was extremely hard, being as I was just new to the paranormal world and no one took this case seriously, or me at the time. Living there, I picked up on a lot of the entities that Phil and Dave both found and picked up on. Jack, I remember I caught one of Phil's sons talking to himself outside. I think Phil and his wife were with me, I'm pretty sure. And they were like, who's he talking to? And I was like, he's talking to a little boy named Jack. And Phil was like, is that a real boy? I was like, no. This is one of the demonic entities at your house. And he's like, how do you know that? Because Phil, as out there as the story sounds, it's 100% true. And Phil is completely a skeptic of everything. Phil, had questioned me over every single thing, and I had to prove everything to him. And I told him, I was like, it's the energy that he throws off, and his face is deformed. So we went out there, and we started talking to Dylan. We started talking to one of his kids, and he just started describing Jack, the way that I saw him and had described to Phil inside. And he said that Jack sleeps with it next to him at night in bed, and that he's always with him. You know, the little girl Sarah, I'm confused as to what she is too. She appears to me as a little girl, and how Phil said that she helps him and guides him, she does the same thing for me. Could she be evil? Yeah, she could. There's a high possibility of that, but she comes in and pretends to be your friend. There's a few demonic entities there that I won't go into detail or say their names because of everything, but, you know, living in that case was extremely rough and difficult, but I'm glad I did it because it at least helped lead to people that are trying to help us right now.
And Dave, can you tell the viewers what you think about Phil's house?
Well, you know, people who know me and know my methods, I always say, look, I don't know what we're talking to. Just like Phil said, we don't know for sure. No one can prove it 100%. However, I know his house is freaking haunted off the chain, okay? Just from my many years of experience doing this, getting the results that we got, it's uncanny. All the meters were kicking off. It was doing everything that, you know, in my experiences, that lend itself to say, yes, there's some type of paranormal activity going on in this house. And it's not just a little bit, it's a lot. To get the names we got, to the devices going off that we utilize to, you know, monitor that type of activity, such as high EMF fields and fluctuations in the magnetic field and everything of that sort, lends itself to say, yeah, there's some type of paranormal activity. And what does paranormal mean? Simply the unexplained. It's unexplainable activity. That's what paranormal means. We don't know what we're talking to because we can't say we do for 100% because there's no way to prove that, okay? But when you get the names we got backed up with the factual stuff that Phil has already talked about, you can't, it's no such thing as that much coincidence. It's just, that's what we look for. It's haunted. It's haunted off the chain in my view. And going back soon. See if we can document some more of this activity here.
Phil, somebody a viewer in the chat room asked, why are you still living in that house with all your issues?
I lived in 10 different locations. In every location, these spirits have been with me. So what do? I move again, they move with me. It just so happens that this is where the entities have a comfort zone, but from my past knowing that they only follow. There's no breakaway unless somebody of a strong-willed, a high priest, or I'm speculating that maybe there's a possibility to break that attachment. I don't know. But moving doesn't solve anything because they're going to follow. Mm-hmm. I lived in 3 different locations in the state of Pennsylvania. They're there. Now they're pissed, these things.
Yeah,
and you see it on TV, and you see movies based on this stuff, that families move, and sure enough, there's a peak, and there it is again. So,
not to mention, who can just pick up and move on a whim? People can't just pick up and move on a whim, you know?
Oh,
I can't. Can you? I don't know.
No, nobody can do that. Now, Phil, you just mentioned an attachment. So, are you saying you do have an attachment?
I believe I have multiple attachments as well as other things happening around here. And like Dave said, we can't identify it, but the only thing I can tell the viewer and the listener is that the story's true and that there's other things that happen that I speak to Dave about that I still don't understand. I'm trying to get more answers to. So maybe as we go a little bit deeper into the story, I'm going to talk about that. Because one thing, I can't understand how it has to do with the other thing. Demons, aliens, ghosts, how there's an intertwine. But somehow, there's been time lapses here. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Can I explain it? I cannot explain it. But an hour and a half losing from the living room to the kitchen. Dave's been to my house. It takes 2 seconds to go from the living room to the kitchen, but yet, me, Carissa, my youngest son, there was an hour and a half gone. Gone. I've had these encounters. So whether the vortex has something separate to do with it, I don't know. And that's why this is still open for investigation.
Mm-hmm.
We're still trying to figure out the answers. I mean, there's just, the more I investigate this case, the more confused I become by it. And I'm not just saying that. Like, there's so many different layers. And honestly, the feeling at Phil's house is 10 times worse than anything I've ever experienced on any case that I've been to since or before his house. It's just a crazy level of activity, like Dave said and like Phil mentioned. And, you know, the story is hard to believe, but that's why we have so many recognized people in the paranormal come in and document it with us and try to help us search for these answers. Because, you know, there is definitely an alien-like element to this case. And for me to say that is really hard because I didn't even believe in demons or aliens until I got involved with this case. And this case just definitely opened my eyes to so many things.
Well, time lapses are usually identified with aliens.
Yeah, and, you know, there's other things, but we only have like an hour left, so I don't know if Phil's going to go into it. But there's been other encounters and experiences that, you know, I'm still coping with and trying to understand. And that's saying something, because I've seen a lot of weird things being a medium. And the fact that there's elements to Phil's case that still shock me today, it's something else.
Phil, can you...
There's a theory out there, guys, you know, and a lot of people are trying to explore it further about the whole alien/demon thing, that some of these alien entities are actually like a demonic type of entity or vice versa. And there's a whole theory ongoing in the paranormal field with that right now.
Right.
Because a lot of these cases are matching up. People are explaining the same thing that Phil is explaining with these time lapses and these demonic type beings actually controlling them and like making them where they can't move and you know, paralyzing them and whatnot and stuff like that. So it's just, you know, it goes with the whole ball of wax paranormal in general, you know, the unexplained. That's what we're trying to do, document evidence of this stuff.
Right.
So, and go from there.
Phil, do you feel that you may have had an alien abduction?
I've had an encounter. Want me to talk about it?
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
I don't want to confuse the listener out there, because it's a confusing case. And like Carissa was saying, and Dave, there's a lot of different levels to it that we're trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. So I've had these contacts. I was never on a spaceship or nothing like that. I'm not going to say that. But in 2007, I had an encounter that was documented by somebody else, and I had that personal encounter. And again, whether you believe it or not, or anybody believes it, it's out there, but it did happen. It was late at night, and it was my first home that I bought in PA, and it was an old Victorian, second floor. My wife was sleeping. I was watching TV to fall asleep, which I do every night, living a haunted life. And this bright light came through the window. And when this bright light came through the window, these 3 beings came through, as if the window and the wall were transparent. They just came right through. I thought I was in a nightmare state. I actually thought I was having a nightmare. I felt my body lift about a couple inches and turn around to the other side of the bed. And I'm thinking I'm in a nightmare, but I'm trying to wake myself out of it. Sort of like sleep paralysis, where I'm trying to get out of this. And then I'm looking, and my wife, I turn around, and she's leaning up in a scream motion, but she stopped. And I'm a big guy, I'm trying to fight to be released of what's happening to me. The left side of my head, they were doing something. These beings, and I'm going to say alien beings, because that's what I think it is, controlled something that was able to stop me from fighting them physically. When they were doing that, I felt, again, it's theory because I'm not 100%, but I felt like something was implanted in my skull, right here. Now, it sounds crazy. The fight went on. These beings had long, silky fingers. They were tall and skinny. They were like 7 feet tall from what I would remember. But then I couldn't fight them. I could just see. That's it. I woke up the next day. I says to my wife, "Did you know what happened in this room last night?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" "Something happened here last night." She goes, "What do you mean?" I says, "Nothing, forget about it." I was a salesperson. I went to work that day. I went to work. I worked in New Jersey, and I was on the telephone, and I felt something tingling in my left ear. I didn't think much of it. Just thought maybe I was having an ear infection or something, but I dismissed it like I dismiss everything in life. And that weekend came, and I have a hardcore friend, biker from one of the well-known gangs and all that stuff. He doesn't believe in anything, but he says to me, "Did you see the UFO?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "There was a UFO sighting over at Easton, and this is July 2007. I says, "No, I didn't see nothing." So as time went on, there was a point where I had to lift a mattress out of the bedroom. We were changing bedrooms for the kids. And I got these electrical shocks through my fingers. And I had to let the mattress go. I couldn't hold it no more. And then, as time went on, these weird things would happen. And I would never tell this story to anybody up until a few months ago because you're looked at like you're different, to be quite honest with you, when you talk about these kind of things. But you know what? I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because I believe it to be real. When I looked it up to see if there was such a case, there was. It was documented by somebody else that there was a UFO sighting July 2007. And then I had somebody come to my home. His name is Bruce. He's a UFO investigator. He lives out in, I think, Clinton, New Jersey, something. And he was brought by Scott Gearhart. And I was talking to Bruce about this whole case, and it's hard to talk about with people. He goes, "Phil, you're not crazy, and you're not the only one." And that gave me comfort that there's other people, and this guy he's a well-known man. And he says, "You're not alone." You know, it is hard to talk about, but this is true. These things do happen to people. So is there a tie between my time lapse, my alien encounters, and the ghosts and the demons? Somehow, according to what this person told me a month ago that wants to remain anonymous, she says there is a tie. Like Dave is saying, there's some kind of connection there.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know the connection. I'm only telling the experience.
Yes. Phil, you've got an awful lot going on. I'm wondering if there's another angle, another way for you to go rather than ghost hunters. It really sounds like that this is really alien, a real big alien connection. What do you think, Dave?
Oh, well, anything's possible. You know, it's just, you need to just keep documenting what's going on. You know, I mean, that's the only thing you can do right now.
But Dave, but Phil needs help, Dave. He needs to get cleansed. He needs to get those attachments.
I recommended a friend of mine and yours to him, Noreen. You know who I'm talking about. She does past life regressions.
Yes.
And she can maybe do a session with him sometime and see if he can recollect anything else that may have been blocked from his memory, you know, during one of those episodes.
Yeah. Phil, you need you need help, honey. You've got a lot of stuff going on over there. And
there's a lot. Yeah, Noreen, there's a lot going on, and it becomes a point where is it where you have another deliverance or have the home blessed, or is it look into the alien part of it? And I guess that's what I'm still trying to understand. And that is why, for the non-believer out there, that is why, I want you to look at me, I still have investigators coming. I still will have investigators coming because these investigators do hard work and they're helping me and my family put these pieces together to solve this mystery. There's no coincidence. It becomes like things are happening. Just we're trying to put it together. That's all.
Well, as far as paranormal investigators, I don't think they're the ones that can help you on the alien side. You need
We can try to help him understand what's going on as we try to understand it as well, and hopefully, we have been looking into the ufology side of things and trying to find people to help us, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
A lot of them, it's very hard to get in touch with these people.
Well, maybe.
So we're using the resources that we have currently.
Okay. Well, I have some connections as well, Phil, and I believe it's at the point now where understanding is not. It's not where you need to go right now. I mean, you've been dealing with this for many years now. So the understanding needs to go out the window. You need help. And I know some people as well. I will contact them. And you need help, honey. I know you understand what's happening. You know about the hauntings. You understand now that there is a UFO connection here with your case. So now you need the help. No more understanding. You need the help. Go ahead.
No, I agree, Noreen. You're right. Carissa was saying we reached out to about 20 different people in ufology, and it's either they're tied up with other cases or
they don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
That's what we've been trying to do for a really long time because I want to understand what happened to me one of the nights as well.
But is there a connection? We're trying to find that out too. Is there a connection between the two? A lot of people are saying there is. So
I personally think there is.
Yeah. I can also find out. I know Linda is here in California. I'm not sure if she travels. And I will ask her if she knows of anyone in your area that does past life regressions. There are some around that are very successful that have written books about past life regression. And I'll see what I can do on that part as well for you, Phil. Now, I want to see you get help, Phil. I really don't want to see this continue on for you. You're an Italian, and I love you, and you need to have a good life, honey. You need to have a good life. No more of this stuff that's going on. Now, are you writing another book?
Yes. We're currently working on another curse book, and Dave Spinks is actually going to be a part of it as well, and it's just another testimonial book. And the reason why we started doing this was to bring light into this case, it's so hard to believe, and it's such a confusing case for even the people involved in it, that we're trying to work it out, and, we're trying to understand it so we can go about the right ways to get help to end this. And so writing it out works well, and it's also proof of everything that we've experienced, and a lot of people put their names to it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of recognized people in the paranormal world that will put their names to this case and be like, this is what I experienced. I can't explain it. And, this case, really showed me that paranormal unity does still exist to a point. I started off as the lead investigator on this case, and I'm honored to be in this case with Dave, Scott, and everyone else that's been on it. It's just an honor to me, and I'm really thankful that they came in, and I'm really thankful to you if you can try to help us on the UFO part. It'd be really great to end this.
Yes, I'll do my best for you, Phil. Phil, is there anything else you want to tell the viewers?
No, the story goes on. It's not ending. The shadow people are here. I know my wife had a birthday party a couple days ago, and she had one of her friends is an eye doctor, and she was here. And I told her about what I'm seeing. I was like, is it possible? So she goes, do yourself a favor. Next time you see a shadow person, cover one eye, make sure it's not your eyes, and then cover the other eye. So the next day, I see a shadow person, so I cover my left eye, and I see it, and then I cover my right eye, and I take my hand off my left eye, and it's still there. And she has said that if that happens, you're actually seeing something. Mm. What, I don't know, but you're seeing something It's not a trickery of the eyes or a dark floater that some people get in the eye. You're seeing something that can't be explained. And these shadow people are here every single day. I'm not going to say that I see 20, 30 shadow people. That's not the case. It's like you walk into the kitchen 2 in the morning, guess what? It's going to happen. You're going to see something like, what am I looking at? And then it goes away quick. It's like it knows, and then boom, it's gone. Then you come up into the basement.
Your kid reported to me he had saw the shadow figures as well. So it's not just you, you know.
Everyone
Yes.
in the family, including myself, has seen the shadows. I mean, you know, it's sad that it's affecting everyone at this rate. I think altogether now we're up to 70 people affected in the paranormal and outside the paranormal world. It's pretty crazy. And, you know, I just want to address something that I've been reading in the comments. And, you know, Phil did make some mistakes when he was younger, but we all do, and that doesn't mean he should suffer. I'm maybe in the paranormal world, but I'm not God, so I'm not going to judge him, and I'm going to do my best to try to help him and get him out of this situation, because no one deserves to suffer.
No.
Exactly. I don't know any perfect people out there myself. We all make mistakes.
I mean, everyone commenting on Phil's behavior when he was younger, you're not perfect either.
Exactly. I've been there too, honey. I totally understand that. We are not perfect. None of us are. Phil, you are the most haunted person I have ever talked to. You poor thing. You are haunted.
And sometimes, guys, you know, people get deliverances, and it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes years sometimes to get rid of attachment.
Yes, exactly.
Years and years.
It does.
It just does.
I'm just wondering also, Dave, how about a shaman? If the cleansing didn't work in his home, maybe he needs to go beyond that. I know some shamans.
Yeah, try everything you can to make it leave. You know, that's all you can do.
Phil, are you thinking about having someone else come out and do a cleansing on the home?
Yeah, but I did learn my lesson. It has to be someone that has to be the right person, because otherwise you pay the repercussions, like me and Chris paid, and it's not friendly.
You know, we tried to get a deliverance, and we tried to go down that road and get rid of it, and to all the people saying we're poking it with a stick, that's not the case. We're just trying to understand what's happening to us at this rate. You know, but we tried to get a deliverance, and the after effect was not good. I am just now getting over what happened to me after the deliverance. You know, I had problems with my car, problems with my house,
Yes.
problems with my health. And you can say it's all coincidence, but when it happens one after another and your whole life is coming apart in shambles, to me that's a perfect example of a true
Yes.
demonic case. And, you know, poking it with the stick was the deliverance that we did.
I understand that if you don't get the right people in there, you can have reoccurrences, you can have repercussions from it, and it does take the right person.
It does. And someone that actually knows what they're doing, not to disrespect anyone, but
Exactly.
this case is extreme, and, you know, we don't need anyone to make it worse. It's bad enough.
Right, exactly. Phil, I'm
And
good.
I'll add to that. I'm sorry, Noreen. I just wanted to add to that.
Sure, honey.
That statement, what Chris has said, is true. We don't want to add to the problem. Look, if these entities know, they know when I'm trying to have an intent to remove them. They know. But they're malicious. They'll do things to make you pay the price. They will. And it's been done already a few times to me and Carissa and other people that they'll say, okay, you want to have the boxing gloves on? We're ready for you. So I can't be more clear than that they're always ready and they know what's going on.
And, you know, we are actually talking about getting another team in here to help perform a deliverance. You know, it's not something that happens overnight. Not on a case that's extreme and real. It's about breaking that connection. There's no magic wand, unfortunately. I wish there was.
Phil, is there anybody else in your family that's experiencing this outside of your family, like a brother or a sister?
Oh, sure.
They're experiencing this as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
You-
Not to this level, but if I'm on the phone with them, I was on the phone with my oldest sister a few months ago, and she goes, and she lives in Staten Island, she goes, what's happening in my house? And I didn't understand it, but she was like, there's this bright light, and she says, I have to close my eyes. She goes, hang up the phone now. So these entities, this energy can travel on the blink of an eye, no matter where you live. Like Dave was saying about Sarah and Jack, and Dave's out in West Virginia, and I'm in Pennsylvania. There's no time in the spiritual world, so if there's no time, there's no distance. If there's no distance, it's a split second in our eyes that these things can go bang somewhere else. And I didn't believe that a couple of years ago, but I believe it now.
Phil, did your brother or sister ever play with the Ouija board?
My older sister, yes.
Okay.
And she'll never touch it again after what happened.
Oh, well.
No.
Okay, another question.
I don't recommend anybody playing with the Ouija board. It's just a board, that's all it is. But it's the intent behind what your mission is. And you don't know what you're calling upon. Quite frankly, you just don't know what you're dealing with.
Not to mention, guys, I've said it. If I have said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. If you use a Ouija board properly, you have to allow them to use your body to move the planchette. So therefore, you're allowing it to go into your body. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Phil, I have another question. Does your sister and brother also feel that they may have been abducted by aliens?
We don't speak about it. We just don't speak about that. There's one of those things that I didn't even talk about till a few months ago. So I'm not even about to go there. We talk about the demons and the ghosts. I think if I talk about aliens, they're going to put me in a straitjacket.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure when they watch this, they will put me in a straitjacket.
But see, we believe you, Phil. We're on your side. That's what's so good about talking with people that believe in the paranormal.
Yes.
As opposed to other not normal people, but other people. But we believe you. Your story to me is absolutely fascinating. I know there was a viewer in the chat room tonight that was kind of upset with me on the last show because I didn't let you. I didn't understand. It's my fault. I didn't understand you were going into a trance, and I had bothered you by talking with you. Because I really didn't hear what you had to say, and they wanted you to go back into a trance tonight and tell some more of your story. But I don't think you need to go in that trance because you told most of your story to us tonight. Don't you think?
Yeah, and we only have a half hour left. I'm alone in the room, and I will not do that to myself because I'm afraid. This is a bad room. It's not a friendly room that I'm in. The viewer out there could laugh, giggle, and chuckle, but I will tell you that the room I'm in, Dave Spinks has walked into this room, Carissa's been in this room. It's not a friendly room, and I don't want to do that to myself.
It's not at all. It's very dangerous.
Dave,
It didn't want me filming in there. I stuck a static camera in there, brand new 4-hour battery. Came back 20, 30 minutes later, the battery's totally drained. Didn't film anything in the whole room. Put another battery in it, checked it again 15 minutes later. There's another 4-hour battery, totally drained. So it knew what we were doing, and it was sucking the energy out of the batteries. Because, and it did that to several pieces of my equipment that night. It's just one of those things. It's intelligent. Whatever it is or how many there are, they're intelligent, and they know what's going on with it. So,
I slept in there a few times, and it's extremely dangerous in that room. That's the only way I can put it. That's one of the main places that I always felt scared at when I was at Phil's house. It's just a negative energy in that room, especially. And when I slept in there, you would hear like footsteps going up and down the staircase where you actually saw that shadow figure, and you would hear them by the door pacing back and forth. And, things would get in bed with me and cuddle with me. It sounds so weird and strange, but it's all true. Yeah. That's the weirdest room in the house. So even for Phil to be in there by himself right now, I give him credit.
The EMF in that area is super, super high as well.
Wow. Is there anything else you want to say? Anybody?
Well, does anybody have any questions that are in the chat room that they want to ask?
And Carissa, you can see the chat room as well.
Yeah.
Mary, the show that Phil aired with me was in April, and when this show is over with, I will put the link on the show that we did in April on this. So if you come back to this show, the link will be up. And I'll also put it in the about as well. But it was in April, and I can't remember the title of the show, but I'll have the link on this show, so everybody can go back to the first show.
And Tucker, he's in the room because he has tons of kids, and they are loud. It's a big, loud Italian family, and that's why he is in that room in the basement.
Oh, what are they asking? Why he uses the basement? Or...
Yeah, they said, then why be in the room? So many things don't add up.
Well, it's his house. It's his prerogative what room he goes to.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're trying to hide from tons of little kids. You're going to go into the basement to do a show so you're not interrupted by anything in the physical world anyway.
And Dave's show that he videoed at Phil's house, how can they find your show, Dave?
It's called Haunted Horsefly House. It's on my channel, CRP Investigations, or CRP TV on YouTube. They can go and watch the results that we captured during that investigation. And what you see is what you get, guys. I don't pull any punches. I'm a skeptic in a lot of ways, and I just show what I get. So, like I said, it is what it is. And just like Phil says, you can believe if you want to believe. You don't have to believe if you don't want to believe. We show what we get, and that's it. Simple as that. He's trying to share what's going on with him, with everyone, to give you a warning not to mess with that crap. Because he's going through hell with that crap.
And that's what this is, It's a lesson that he learned, and he's brave enough to put his face and name to his story. And I think that takes a lot, He doesn't have much to gain from telling his story. Right. There isn't. There's a lot to lose as a family man with a respectable job on the side, So I give him tons of credit for being brave enough to put his face.
Oh,
and I'm happy that
I'll be honest. Let me be honest for a minute here. When I had first heard of this case, I heard about it through another friend of mine, and I was like, "Whoa, that sounds crazy." Okay. Then I saw Phil and Chris on Noreen's show because me and Noreen are friends, and I was in the chat that night and listening to what they said, and I got in the chat and I said, "You know what, guys? I'd really like to come up there and check that place out." Phil opened his house to me and had me up there, and I didn't expect to get half of what I got, not even close. I was like, this is it's one of those stories where you're like, there's so much stuff going on, there's just no way all that's going on. I go up there, and lo and behold, you see what I got on the investigation. The story matches up. I've been doing this since 1986, long time. I wasn't in the public eye until I retired from federal law enforcement because I'm not going to put out there what I do, okay, when I'm in that kind of job. And when I got out there and all the facts started matching up, I got results from all the devices I was using. The story checks out to me, guys. I mean, it does. And, I was only there for what, maybe 5 hours, Bill, Carissa, 6 hours top.
Yeah.
And I got all of that, all of those results in that short amount of time. And they lived it. They live it. He lives it every day. So I can't imagine the stuff that they're seeing when they're there 24/7. I was only there 5 or 6 hours, and you can see what I got. So that in itself should prove a lot to all you naysayers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that Dave was skeptical coming into the house. When he walked in, you could tell on his facial expression that he didn't believe half of what we said or half of what he knew. But as soon as he goes downstairs and he hears a growl in his ear, he looks at us and he's like, oh. And then the evidence on the equipment just told its own story. And, it's hard story to believe.
It had everything I look for when there's a haunting going on. High EMF, battery drain, relevant responses on whatever device I'm using, EVPs. I mean, it has it all. So, you can believe if you want to believe, but the results are there on video. Can't deny it, and it is what it is.
Right. And Dave's one of the best Dave doesn't fake. He doesn't lie. He's one of the best. And Dave, when you went in there, you didn't even know about those names, and here you picked them up on your sessions.
Yeah, I did, and that's what blew me away even more because it lends relevance to the whole story, and you can't deny that.
Right.
You know, and I got touched. I don't know how many times down there. Something was physically touching. Something touched my neck, and I said, "Who touched my neck?" And it said, "Clear as a bell, Sarah." I mean, that's on video. You showed that clip right there. There was a growl in my ear. I heard 2 or 3 weird growl sounds down there. I know it was none of us because we were all sitting on the couch right there, and it was coming from behind us, and nobody was over there. I mean, it just has it all. And you know, another thing, I'm going back there tomorrow night, and we're going to do it again and see what we can document.
Any way you could do a live show from there tomorrow night?
Possibly might set up a live deal, see what we can do with it.
Oh, that would be awesome. You might be able to catch more as well with the being live, you know?
Yeah, we're going to try to do it, but I don't want to make any promises because, you know, the haters are out. They like to try to hack us.
Yeah.
So we'll try to set up a live deal tomorrow, see how it goes, and go from there.
All right. Anything else?
Dave's a great guy. Great guy.
Oh, yeah. He is. Absolutely, and you couldn't have a better person to come out. I mean, he is the one. I would recommend him to anybody because I think Dave's the best.
Well, thank you, Noreen. There's a lot of good investigators out there.
No, but you're very good at what you do, and you know you have helped Phil and I a lot, and we're happy to have you with us and just investigating with us.
I don't pull any punches. You guys know me good enough by now that
Yep.
if I don't think it's happening, I'll let you know. You know,
Yep. But that's what we like about you.
So.
Do we have any other questions out there, Noreen?
I don't see any. Do you see any, Carissa?
There's a couple that are asking for my advice on things, you know.
Oh no, not during. No.
I'm not gonna do readings on here tonight. No. This is about Phil. This isn't about me. But you can message me on Facebook. You can find me under Carissa Fleck, and I can try to help you. If I can help you, I will.
So I do want to say this, and this is a twist. This is a twist. I mean, I don't even know what to make out of this, but I'm going to let it out there. That
All right.
When I was researching the grave that I dug up, and I told you about Sarah and John, I went into full detail, and I found a lot of stuff out. Again, I'm not talking about the last name, but what I did find, and I will share with you privately, is that these people died in the 1800s, but there were 6 children to Sarah and Jacob. 2 of the children's names were Philip and Julia, my wife's name. Now, look, whether that's coincidence because my wife's name is spelt that certain way, I don't know. I can't make sense out of it. But that to me is also fascinating. I don't know what the discovery is going on here, but it's a little bit more than coincidence. What are you saying, Noreen?
Yes. I what do you think, Dave?
That's I call that synchronicity. There's things like that match up that are just too uncanny and there's, like I say all the time, there's no such thing as so much coincidence. You know, it's synchronicity. There's things that just fall into place, and you know, maybe looking more into that. I mean, that's pretty freaking interesting right there.
Yeah, and I have the I have it in my iPad. I'll show you tomorrow. Like I copied it when I found the documents of the children, and it's amazing. So, you know, I don't know. That's why there's so many pieces to be put together to this case.
Mm-hmm.
Just never know. Will we ever find it all? We may not. We don't know.
Yeah. Phil, anytime you want to come back and keep us updated on what's happening, I know we're all interested in what's going on at your house. I get messages all the time. What's going on with Phil? What's going on with Phil? So this was.
Oh, thank you. You have an incredible show. I want to thank you for having me, and I found Dave through your show, and it's great. You know, Carissa helping out, even though she takes some, heat sometimes. Because when you're dealing with something like this, you're gonna have the haters, the non-believers.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what? I don't hate anybody. If you don't believe it, then listen as entertainment. That's all I could say.
We
But
just
don't
talk.
criticize. But don't criticize what you don't know. That's all. Look at
You-
this. It's a movie.
You haven't experienced what we've experienced. We're not here to make money. Honestly, you don't make much off of books, and if you think that's the case, then you're dead wrong. We're here to educate and tell everyone our experiences firsthand because, number one, there might be people that can relate to what we've been through, that don't have enough courage yet to come and talk about it. And number two, we talk about it to try and understand it ourselves. I mean, how can something come to my home 3 weeks before I ever even meet Phil and sexually assault me in my own house? That came from Phil's house. It's hard to believe. We know this, but we talk about it in hopes that we're opening up people's minds that, these dark forces do exist.
Or to find answers. Maybe someone else experienced. Maybe they have some answers that you don't have.
Right.
That's what rational people do. They talk about their experience.
Yeah, and you do have to have an open mind. If you don't have an open mind, none of this makes any sense to you.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. It's kind of one of those things that you have to experience, and, that's why we've brought in so many people in the paranormal. Because we were having a hard time, just Phil and I, understanding this and getting the help that we needed and getting people to take us seriously. And, we're blessed for Dave and Sean Austin, Scott Gerhardt, everyone else that's been involved that's helped immensely. It's putting together the pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result is that the person with an open mind should say, wow, this is impressive and thank you, because I'm sharing that dinosaur toy going off is virtually impossible. It can't go off. It just can't. In fact, when Dave comes here tomorrow, I'm going to show him the dinosaur. It can't go off. It doesn't go off. And do you know something? I tried about 50 other times to make that dinosaur go off. Even through talking to a spirit, it will not go off. It knows what it wants to communicate. It will.
It will.
That's
Right.
it. You can't tell them communicate with me.
No.
Yeah.
They don't care.
No. That's the
They
same.
will communicate when they're ready.
Exactly. You're absolutely
And
right.
it did it when you asked it to, and that is relevant in itself.
Yes.
You said, do this, and it did it. So for the thing not to work when you want it to, and then you ask it during a certain period of time, and then it goes on and does what it did. I mean, that's real. You can't. There's no denying that. I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think. Oh, Phil. Now, what about your book? Are they still able to get your book, The Horsefly Chronicles: A Demonic Haunting, on Amazon.com?
Yes.
Yes, I'm showing that right now to the viewers.
Yes. The book is on Amazon, and what you read is the truth. That it's out there. If you have an open mind, buy the book. If you don't have an open mind, don't buy it, because you're not going to understand it. Like you were saying, Irene, if you have to really have an open mind to paranormal or anything out there that's above and beyond what we learn in school or wherever to understand what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've told some things to people, and they just laugh at me. So you know what? Don't bother. But I will. The only people I do talk to are the paranormal. Because really, those that believe in the paranormal, they will listen to you. They may not believe everything you're saying, but at least they listen to you and they won't laugh.
Well, most people in the paranormal field, as
Yeah.
investigators or what have you, have had their own experiences, and they can relate. Other people that have closed minds, they don't understand, and they will, try to tear you down or whatever.
Right.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone.
Nope.
But here we are with our names and our faces, and we're all telling you the truth. I mean, this is what happened to us, and take it for a grain of salt if you want to, but, always be prepared and protected, because you might stumble into a demonic case yourself. You never know.
Right. All right. Well, how about we say goodnight? And Phil and Carissa and Dave, thank you so much for joining the show tonight. I really appreciate you coming back on and telling the viewers the update on your case. And again, Phil, you're always welcome on my show anytime.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
check
Marie.
out tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, Dave. Yeah, I am hoping. I want to see it live so bad.
We'll try.
Okay, Phil,
But
you're now. What's your?
It'll be filmed and it'll be put up no matter what. So,
Okay.
I'll see you two tomorrow night.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, Dave.
Look forward
Bye,
to it. Have
Noreen.
a-
Thank you for having
Oh,
us.
you're welcome. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Phil. Wow. That was awesome. Thanks everyone for sticking with us. That was an awesome show. Thank you so much. Anytime. Phil's welcome back anytime. I want to know the update, and I'm going to try and get him some help as well. Dave is going to be over there again tomorrow night. Hopefully he can get a live show going so we can see this in live in action. And everybody, thanks so much. Please give my show a like. We had over 100 people in the show tonight. Please give the show a like. There's only 24 on there now, so if you would please give the show a like, I'd appreciate it. And don't forget, next week, I'm going to have to cut some of this out because Phil will want this show. Yeah, thanks everyone so much for joining me tonight. So next week, let's see what's on the calendar for next week. Next week, okay, I have the psychic lawyer. His name is Mark Anthony. He's been on radio, TV. He's got quite a story, and he's also written 2 books. And he says he has proof of the afterlife. And then on the 27th, the last Thursday of the month, I have Ray Johnson coming back. He's the retired detective from Chicago, and he has been studying a case on the Grimes sisters. They had disappeared, and bodies were eventually found a month later, and that case has been unsolved for all these years. And Kat will be joining me in that show for a second part of it with her remote viewing. And Ray is interested because they don't have any up-to-date information. They've called in psychics. They've called in all kinds of people. And he's extremely interested in that show that we're going to air on the 27th. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please give the show a like. I don't see any more likes. Oh, there are? Okay, because I didn't refresh. Well, we had over 100 people tonight, so that was really awesome. Thank you. And don't forget, Kat has a show right after mine, so go on over to her channel. And everybody, thanks for modding tonight. I think we had some issues, but they were taken care of. And any questions? You guys have any questions? Thanks so much. I really appreciate all you guys being here. Oh, did you get my emails? I sent out over 60 emails. Come on, guys, give me a like. Thanks, Trent. Oh, okay, I got 95 now. Yay. Oh, Sweet Annie. Hi, Sweet Annie. Like to know of a shaman. Okay. I have to get back to you, Susie, on that. I know of several shamans. I'm really going to see if I can. I know a couple of people with MUFON and who can possibly help Phil. I'm going to see what I can do. You know, I've met so many people doing these shows. So everybody, don't forget, join me next week. We got 2 great shows for the rest of the month. And hi everybody. Do you want me to do shout outs? Oh gosh, I still have time. I only got a couple of minutes. Justin Elias, yes Justin, we can talk. Karen Atwood, Michael DeWild, Renee Ratz, Griffin Cochran, nice to see you Griffin. Lynn Bowling, Andy Voigt, Jill Thorett, Unique Sweet Annie, Putty Tat, my precious, Royce Hinman. Thank you, Royce, for the pictures. Phil loved seeing those pictures. Susie Farrell, Ty B, Lily Velabos, Rebecca Whitehurst, Janet W, Charlie Panada, Alexandria Violet, Penny Diaz, hey Penny, Nellie Navarro, Maria Hyatt, Pumpkinhead, Maria Amador, Mystic Hazard, Carrie Y, Chipateria, Charlie Panetta. Charlie, I don't see you all the time. Thanks for coming by. Mary Dallas, Joey the Dark Walker, Nellie Navarro, Diane Hilbert. Okay. Oh, Royce, just a second. I'm going to tell you something. Jamela Castile, Andy Voigt, Dave and I love you too, Penny. Dave and I in October. October. We have a special we're gonna do. The whole week of October, the 12th through the 16th. Dave and I and F Warrior, Dave, Para Princess Patricia, Dave and I, and hopefully we can get Anthony to join us that whole week. We're going to be doing ghost box sessions, and we're going to be using all the different apps, and every night we're going to give away something. Dave has 3 things and I have 3 things. Debbie Bass to give away. So that's Herman 21X. So the week of October the 12th through the 16th, every night ghost box sessions, okay? Quizzle, Jenny LL. All right, so bass singer. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Got some good shows in October too. Anybody else want to shout out before? Oh, Griffin, I know school will be back in session, but you can still join us. It's 9 o'clock your time when I come on. I got some good shows scheduled too. October. Oh my God, I got some good shows scheduled for October. All right, so I guess that's it. So everybody have a great night. I only got 5 minutes left. Have a great night. Thank you again so much for joining me tonight, and I just love seeing all you here. So everybody, good night. I love you. Remember, I love you. Big group hugs, and have a nice weekend. And I will see you. Did you guys like the show? Hi, April. Did you guys like the show? Angela Mortimer. Oh, chat shout out to Nori. Yay. Okay, great. Yeah, anytime you have a subject, send me a message. Love you too. Love you too, Mystic Hazard. Oh my God. Okay, I'm soaking wet, and I'll see you guys all. Hi, Ginger, yay! I'll see you all guys. I got to get off so I can edit this all out, because I know Phil will want this show. Tell them about the Instagram, and I don't know, Griffin, I don't know about that. I want to see what Kat is. Oh, Amanda. I want to, yeah. Okay, guys, so I love you all. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Lost Zoo. Can you repeat the show? This show, yeah, this show will be repeated. It's right, as soon as I end this, it's going to go right into the archives and you can watch it. Okay, well, I got to get off or I won't be able to edit this. Yes, Phil needs help, and I'm really going to try and help him. I know he's writing another book, and hopefully we can get help for him. Everybody, thank you so much. I love you. Group hug. I love you all. So good night, okay? I'll see you next Thursday. Don't forget to come back next Thursday. We had a huge crowd tonight. I love it. It was awesome. Good night, everybody. I love you. Good night. Be safe.